All right, we are everywhere we're supposed to be. Welcome, everyone, to Creative on Purpose Live. This is a show dedicated to seasoned solopreneurs who are trying to optimize their business to fund their ideal lifestyle. I'm Scott Perry, your host and your guide in Close the Gap, the 90-day solopreneur success accelerator. You can go to creativeonpurpose.com to learn more about me and everything that we're up to here. I'm thrilled to have Linda with us here today. Linda, please tell our viewers who you are, what you're up to these days, and where can people go to learn more about you and the difference you're making.
My name is Linda Ugelow, and I'm a speaking confidence and vocal coach. Right now, I am creating an accelerated program to help people overcome their fear of speaking, go from the sense of dread to delight, because I feel that speaking is our human design, and we may as well enjoy the speaking we do. And so I am also the author of the book Delight in the Limelight and have a podcast of the same name.
Fantastic. So I am thrilled to be talking to you because one of the first endeavors I tried as I was recovering from my career as a longtime professional musician and transitioning into what was next for me, I thought speaking was the natural thing because I had been delighting in the limelight for over 25 years as a frontman, professional musician, lead guitar player, all that sort of thing. I found that public speaking turned out to really not be my thing because I had a lot of fear, dread, and anxiety. And just changing the domain, just the fact that I didn't have a guitar in my hands made a big difference. So in in that journey, I came to I came across some information that says public speaking is the primary fear and anxiety of all human beings, followed closely by death. Followed closely by death. So I'd love to just hear, your take on, what is this deal, this thing that comes so naturally to us, shooting our mouth off, really feels unnatural once we stand up on stage and kind of put ourselves on the hook and, in your words, in the limelight.
I feel that, in fact, if you look at our children when they learn to speak, they just love making sounds. You can't get them to stop talking when they're 3 years old. But things happen to us. We get programmed. So when we come out and we're talking a lot and people want us to be quiet, so they tell us in various different ways, nice ways and not nice ways, to shut our mouths or not speak unless spoken to, or if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Or everyone has their own cultural and family adages that get passed on. Then you add a school system that penalizes us for every mistake we make, and we feel like we need to be perfect in order to be good enough. So I feel like everyone has educational trauma, and a real skewed sense of what it is to be an explorer, to experiment, to have fun and play, and what's really important in terms of communication. Because people aren't looking for someone to be perfect. They're looking for people to help them. Like, you go on YouTube, not looking for perfect speakers, you're looking for the answers to problems, or a discussion on something you also find interesting. So the rules that we learn in school are not the rules that we use in actual life. Yet what happens is that we carry on these little and big traumas with us that make us feel uncomfortable. So it may be from school, but it may be at home. Maybe we had a parent who we could never please. They were very demanding, or someone who took up all the airspace and you couldn't get a word in edgewise. Or you felt like maybe your parents were just busy. They had two jobs and you were kind of neglected, and you felt like, oh, nobody's interested in me. And then you feel scared that people aren't interested in you. So we come into the speaking arena with a lot of baggage, and we aren't it's you don't see talk about it, you don't see discussion about it. I was saying the other day that you look up on Google, like I did when I was afraid of speaking too. I only got over my own fear 10 years ago when I turned 60. And so I'm just telling you how old I'm about to be. So I went on Google, and all they're telling you to do are management techniques: deep breathing, power poses, reframe it as excitement, all these things that are kind of like band-aid approaches. not that any of them are bad. They just don't get over the fear. And then I was thinking, I better work on my SEO because I should be on the front page. When someone says they Google that, they should come up with me because I am, as far as I know, the only person who's talking about how to actually get over the fear of speaking by going to the root causes and neutralizing them so that they don't stand in your way.
Mhm. Well, I'm totally on board with the idea that institutionalized education and occupation kind of beats our inherent desire to stand up and be seen and speak up and be heard, that is born with most of us, at childhood. I do wonder, and I just love your take on this. i- At the same time, there are people that seem to be kind of pre-programmed, just have a natural temperament or tolerance for craving, attention or being more comfortable in the limelight. I just wonder if there's a piece of it that, if you find this nature nurture thing that's going on, are there differences in the nature that some people are born with, in terms of their desire and their willingness to lean into the uncertainty and the tension that comes with, putting yourself on the hook and standing up to be seen.
Well, I'm not a researcher, so I can't give you the data on this, but I actually had a TikTok video go viral with over 3 million views when I said that that people who are comfortable speaking most likely had an environment where they were listened to. They had people around them who were interested in what they had to say and what they thought about and enjoyed how they expressed themselves. And the people who are not comfortable were hurt, criticized, ridiculed, shamed, uh, rejected in some way, somewhere in their lives. And they didn't have the resilience or the resources to get over it. Now, I got some people like commenting. First of all, I got a ton of resonance, obviously. I got over 3 million views on that. And then there were some people who say, hey, I had a bad childhood, but I got through with it. And I would say, well, that's wonderful. I'm so glad you did. What do you think accounted for that? Well, I had this mentor, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, that's what I mean. We don't have the resources at the time to handle these things that happen. Maybe, we didn't think to say anything to our parents, or maybe our parents were the problem. So we are handling things that happen to us on our own with the resources of a young kid or even as an adult. I mean, as an adult, there are lots of times that I was in situations where I had no idea how to handle it. And and it took me a long time to figure out, oh yeah, if I'm in that kind of situation, I can say XYZ, or I can turn the other way, or I know that it's not about me, it's about them. That I have a way, either my own resource that I've developed from my own wisdom, from living, or from other support systems around me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love your initial point that, as children, we are, um, in our adult lives, we would call it fearless, but, we don't think of it that way as kids. We just naturally are curious and we're naturally, um, trying to cultivate self awareness and just we have this instinct, I think, as human beings that manifests as kids to just we want to explore the edges of our understanding and ability so that we can grow into whatever it is that we seek to become in the moment. um, I was also really struck by what you said about because I'm totally on board with you that overcoming fear of speaking or anxiety about any worthwhile endeavor that we seek to engage in is it's not just a mindset issue. It's you can't just get your mindset right and then suddenly you're going to miraculously get over, these really profound, deep-seated anxieties and fears. One of the things that I find in my work, which has not to do specifically with public speaking with, but just making a shift or a transition in the direction of our lives and the things that might we want to be doing is to pay attention to that fear and anxiety and treat it like a compass. Like if you are feeling fear and anxiety about a direction that you're just simply pointed towards, it's probably a signal that you're heading in a direction that you're interested in exploring further, or that it might be worthy of considering stepping into lightly, to just test for, like, the word you said, resonance. Is this actually a direction I want to head in, or is that fear and anxiety telling me no, stay far away from that? So I'm just wondering about some of the specific tools that you think about in terms of, I have this deep desire or maybe a necessity to stand up and speak my truth, or speak to my team, or whatever it is, and how can people start to reframe, as you said, that narrative in their head about what it means to be a public speaker, and how they can start to step into that identity.
What I did for myself is, well, I think let's circle back to how you led into this, the idea that when we feel that kind of anxiety about something, what does it mean? Does it mean that we should go in that direction or should we not? I think that I think we know when something interests us, but we have a block, and when something doesn't. There are times I've spoken to people who say, I have given up job opportunities. I've not, taken, people have always asked me I tell me I should do podcasts or get on the stage. And I just say, no, 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 no. They are, you need to have a desire to do something. You need to have the desire to play guitar on stage. You love music. But this is the reframe that I would use, is that if we have an area where we are afraid, let's use that as a compass to understand that fear is not the villain. Fear is it's like a messenger. This is how I look at it. It's a messenger pointing to things that haven't yet been resolved, that are asking to be resolved. And that's why I love working with speaking and also performing, because people do have a desire. They do want to do it, but they just can't make themselves. So I wouldn't force somebody to do something that why? If they don't have interest, why? There's so many things to do in the world. You don't have to go in that direction. And if it is a real calling, you'll circle back later on. So I would never push somebody to do something that they don't want to do unless there's no way around it. Like one time I was taking a hike in the Golan Heights, and the leader said, okay, now we're jumping down this 3-story drop into the gorge. And I said, is there any other way around it? They said, oh, yeah, we could drop you down on a rope through the waterfalls, but everyone else is jumping. So that's a case where there was no way around. I had to feel the fear and do it anyway. But in most cases, if we're talking about a direction in our lives, we don't have to get on stage. We don't have to become a speaker, at least not just then. Maybe we'll circle back around. Maybe you realizing, oh, I didn't become a speaker because of this. Now I realize there's a way to get over it. Maybe I'll look into that. And then if you do get over it, maybe you'll decide, actually, I would like to get on stage and speak. So we all have our own journey. And I wouldn't presume that anyone's journey is the right journey for anyone else. How I did it. So I was getting on Periscope every single day, trying to build my following. Periscope was the first live streaming app. A lot of people, some people our age, might remember it. Some people might not have heard of it, because, live streaming is common these days on all kinds of platforms. But it was the very first one, besides Meerkat, which nobody has heard of. The marketing guru said, got to get on daily to build your following. So I was going to do that. And it was terrifying. My heart was racing. I was hyperventilating. I was disassociating from my body. And I just figured I'll keep doing it because, experience and practice will bring me to a place of confidence. The weeks went by. I was doing it every day, managing my fear, jumping jacks, deep breathing, power poses, all this stuff to help me get present. But I had to do it every day because I was terrified every day. I get to day 75, my heart's still pounding. I'm thinking, what's up? And I thought, I don't want to keep managing my fear. I just want to get rid of it. So this is what I did. I closed my eyes to connect with the fear and asked, if the fear could talk, what would it say? And what came back was, you're going to be attacked. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden I realized, I've been attacked as a kid. My mom used to put me on a pedestal and yell at my two older sisters, saying, "Why can't you girls be more like Linda? She's so good." They hated me. So as soon as she left the room, they'd charge and kick me in the shins. They'd say, "Shut up." They call me stupid. And then it was like, duh, of course I'm not comfortable being the center of attention because I learned it was dangerous to be the center of attention.
Mm,
I was wanting to be seen and heard. I was wanting to share the information I had, but there was this other part of me, this memory that was getting triggered that nope, this is dangerous. This is risky. And then once I realized, oh, there's something in my past. What else is in my past? I remembered when I was bullied in seventh grade. All the girls said, nobody talked to Linda. And that was so impactful. It made me feel like people don't like me. They don't want to listen to me. And you don't feel comfortable on a stage speaking when you have that running around somewhere in your psyche. I had a father who said, no one, you can't make a business teaching dance. And I don't want to hear about it because I'm not that interested in it. So on and on and on, and little comments that are made here and there. A small comment that sticks with you can impact you for better or for worse for a long, long time. So once I had a handful of stuff that I realized, I actually knew that I also had tools to clear it away because I have a master's degree in expressive arts therapy. I actually was a performing musician for 40 years too. Not professional, but still on the stage. Lots of self-help. I had some tools, emotional freedom technique. Have you heard of that?
mhm.
Tapping. So a lot of people have learned that. I learned it back in the 90s and have been using it since. So I thought, okay, let me use these tools and see if I can clear my sisters hating me and my mother always putting me in the center of attention and feeling rejected by the girls at school for being smart or whatever it is. I did this EFT. I did a bunch of forgiveness. I did some creative visualization. I did some journaling. And in 5 days, boom, gone. Gone. And it was so liberating because suddenly I could get on camera and my heart wasn't racing. In fact, the next week, I remember having a really hectic day, rushing home. I thought I have to do my Periscope before the sun goes down because I didn't have lights. And I turned it on. I said, hey guys, just want to say how grateful I am that after a hectic day, I can turn on the camera and just relax. And I thought, wow, relax. I now can turn on the camera and relax. How cool is that? So this is what, I didn't suddenly become a speaking confidence coach from that day. I was just deliriously happy to be liberated from my own anxiety. And then when I did go on stage with my group, and I needed to introduce a song which I had hated up to that point. When that song came up in the program, I remember thinking, "Oh, good, it's my turn to speak." I thought, "Yes, yes, this is how I want to feel." And then it was like I could take any of the opportunities. I could pitch myself to any of these opportunities because I didn't have that anxiety holding me back.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like we're completely in sync on fear as a compass, and everyone has their unique path toward overcoming that anxiety. And you touched on something that I have a feeling we're also going to agree on, which is this. You've mentioned it a couple times now, but that's this idea of presence. Like anxiety, by definition, is a fear about something that hasn't yet happened. So it has to do with attachment and expectation and desire and fear about uncertainty and so forth. So I love that some of the things that you shared are really just about let's start where we are, like when we are where we are, as opposed. And yes, it's can be good to reflect back and try to navigate the things that happened in the past that might have put us in the situation we're presently in. But you also mentioned something that I'm also a big proponent of, which is that idea of gratitude. Like I think it's the fastest way to calm your nerves, change your uh, attitude is, just to simply say out loud, here I am, and I am grateful for. who it is, what it is. The other thing, and I'd love your, for you to expand on presence or gratitude. But what I found as I was navigating my anxieties over and my lack of presence when it came to public speaking and presenting and so forth was that gratitude became such a profound practice that I would actually be grateful for the moments that were super challenging and distressful because it was another invitation for me to cultivate patience, humility, acceptance, resilience, all the things that are necessary just to lead a joyful life in an uncertain world, never mind a career as a musician or a presenter. So any additional thoughts on presence and gratitude would be most welcome.
Yeah, I love that. It reminds me that I'm working right now on a journal, a speaker login journal, where we can like prepare ourselves and also debrief after the experience. And one of the prompts in it is what I'm grateful for, how I'm grateful for this opportunity. And like this morning, I got to speak to women in Afghanistan. And I don't know if you're following any of the politics, but it was just decreed a few months ago that women are not allowed to speak out of doors. The women's voice is not to be heard in public, and which is crazy. And hopefully it will not last long. But I was thinking, wow, I get to speak with these women. How, what an amazing opportunity that I get this honor to help them navigate this very toxic um, situation that they're living in right now and help them preserve their self-esteem and self-confidence. So I'm totally with you. As you say, we're right on board with that. I too find that gratitude is one of the quickest ways to shift the energy. And I think that shifting energy is a skill that I help my clients to move into when they want to speak in order to have a peak experience. So my book is called Delight in the Limelight. It's not just, I don't want people just to overcome their fear. I want them to really delight in all their limelight moments, because I do believe that speaking is our human design. And I feel like we can have a special experience of expressing ourselves, not just in spite of the audience, but because of the audience. So how can we cultivate a relationship with our audience that is the best feeling that it can be? Like, I'm grateful for people listening to me. I'm grateful that they're giving me attention. I mean, what a gift that is. We all want to be seen and heard and respected. So what a gift it is to be given the mic, to be given the stage, to be given the space to tell my story, to share my opinion. So I do feel like gratitude is huge in terms of helping us stay in the present. I also, because my background is in dance movement therapy, I'm also a big proponent in connecting with ourselves in a visceral way. So talking about presence, it's about being in the present in our bodies, because we speak from our bodies, we express from our bodies. So can you feel your feet on the floor? When you tune into yourself, do you notice the position of your arms and your legs? Can you notice your breathing? Can you let go of any tension? Because the more we are relaxed in ourselves, the more clarity our brain has in order to be accessed, whether it's for creativity, which speaking is a creative act, or it's improvising music, or playing the guitar, or whatever instrument we're on, that we are in the moment with from our physical bodies, the experience of our physical bodies. So I feel like, yes, presence is about connecting with ourselves, shifting our energy, opening. I do this chakra meditation that I love, that I teach all of my clients and students, to feel grounded, to experience our desire to share, to feel this strength and perseverance that we have in order to, move it forward, to make it happen, opening our hearts, opening our our throat chakra, which is a way we express ourselves, connecting with our brain, attention, intuition, cognition, and then lastly, opening to the universe, like allowing ourselves to channel what it's like we might prepare, but ultimately we need at some point to hand it over and say, okay, I'm just going to let whatever is supposed to come through me.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, I love the name of your book, and the topic of delight and play is near and dear to my heart because, I, I have a lot of musicians that come up to me and say, I would really love to do what you did and make a living making music. And, one of my running jokes was that being a musician, you get to continue to organize play dates with your friends well into your 60s. And, and that, it's called playing music, it's not called grinding music, the game of
That's right.
life is a game, games are meant to be played, it's not called the grind of life, and this whole idea that, bringing to circle back to the beginning of our conversation around how we show up as children, as opposed to how we show up as, recovering adults getting over all of our, conditioning. A lot of it seems to be this reconnection with the playfulness and taking delight in the journey, not just the successes, but relishing the entire journey, which it definitely involves some hardships and some adversities and maybe some failures. Um, for just, as we're kind of wrapping up our conversation, I wonder if there is a specific exercise or piece of advice that you would have. A lot of the folks that are tuning into the show are independent business owners, solopreneurs, independent entrepreneurs. They find themselves doing this work on their own quite a bit, which can bring a lot of challenges. They have challenges around financing and finding time and all the things. So sometimes solopreneurship doesn't feel as fun as it was when we maybe first started. And so for someone that needed to, and it might involve public speaking, but just, that idea of reconnecting with that sense of playfulness, childlike wonder, awe, delight, what have you. Is there any advice or exercise or practice or principle that you would share that would help someone reconnect with that?
One of the things that I used to do in the morning when I woke up is think about something that I was doing in the day and envisioning how I would like to feel as I'm doing it. Like, how can I make it feel the best? And this is something that I do with all my speaking clients as well for speaking, like envisioning, like, how do I want to feel when I'm talking to these people? How do I want to feel when I'm sitting at my desk creating? How do I want to feel when I'm going through my emails? Another way that I have just started to approach it, and this is not something new, it's not something that I created, but what would make this moment a 10? I love
Mm,
asking that question, and I just have started to ask that to myself throughout the day. What would make this moment a 10?
yeah,
Because that allows us to stay in the journey because it's not about getting somewhere, it's about creating, it's about developing, it's about growing, it's and once we don't want to stop growing, we'll stop being satisfied if we stop growing. So we may as well honor and appreciate just where we are. So what would make it a 10?
I love that. Just want to quickly highlight because I thought of this when you were speaking just a moment before, but it really is amplified by what you just said. As someone that used dance as a way to help people, and as someone that made a living for a long time playing music, one of the things that comes to mind is, I mean, beyond Dancing with the Stars, you don't dance to win the dance. You don't play the song to win the song. It's not about the destination. It's about the enjoying the journey while you're in the moment of expressing yourself through the dance, through the music or whatnot. So I really appreciate that those two final reflections. I think they'll be really helpful. We want to thank Linda, and I want to thank all of you for the gift of your time and attention. We really appreciate you lending some of both to us. If this has been impactful, or if you have any questions, just leave a comment or a question wherever you're tuning into this broadcast. If you are tuning in on a podcast episode, please rate and review the podcast. It really helps more of the right people collide with this content and benefit from it. Linda, it's been an absolute pleasure to get to know you and to learn more about the difference you're making. We really appreciate you. And we look forward to continuing to witness and support your journey going forward.
Thank you so much for having me on, Scott.